All right, let's talk about data. Today, businesses are practically drowning in it. But here's the thing. Turning all that messy raw data into something you can actually use, well, that's a huge challenge. And right at the center of that challenge are two little acronyms that represent two completely different ways of thinking, ETL and ELT. Let's get into it.
So it really all comes down to this one question, right? You've got data pouring in from your apps, from your databases, from server logs, you name it. How on earth do you get it from all those places, clean it all up, and make it ready so you can make smart decisions? Well, the answer is something we call a data pipeline.
You can think of a data pipeline as the plumbing for your entire data world. Seriously, it's the whole system that pulls data from one place, does something to it along the way, and then delivers it to a final destination, usually a data warehouse, where it can finally be put to work.
And that brings us to our two main characters, ETL and ELT. Now, at a glance, it just looks like somebody swapped the T and the L. But that one little change, it represents a massive shift in strategy, in architecture, and really in how we think about data itself. So let's break them both down, starting with the original.
For a really long time, ETL was the undisputed king of the hill. I mean, this was it. It's the traditional, time-tested approach that pretty much built the foundation for all modern data warehousing.
The name tells you everything you need to know about the order of operations. And believe me, this sequence is non-negotiable. First, you extract the data from all your sources. Then, and this is the key part, you transform it. And only after it's been cleaned and shaped do you finally load it into your data warehouse. This analogy just nails it. Think about it. Raw, messy data is never allowed inside the main warehouse. Just like a real factory, it's sent to the special processing area first. This is where it gets cleaned, reshaped, validated. All the hard work happens here. Only the finished, perfect product actually makes it onto the shelves for use. So the most important thing to remember about ETL is that all the heavy lifting, the cleaning, the filtering, applying business logic, it all happens in this separate staging area before the data gets loaded. This guarantees that your data warehouse is a pristine, reliable source of truth with only high-quality, analysis-ready data. It's a super-controlled process built for accuracy. And for decades, this factory model worked beautifully. But then, the world started to change. The data landscape shifted under our feet. And pretty soon, the old ETL process started to show some cracks. This whole shift was kicked off by two just massive technological revolutions that completely changed the rules of the game for data.
First up, the cloud. All of a sudden, storing data wasn't this super expensive, limited thing anymore. It became ridiculously cheap and practically infinite. And at the exact same time, we had the explosion of big data. We weren't just dealing with nice, neat tables anymore. We were getting flooded with enormous amounts of messy, semi-structured data like JSON files, website clickstreams, and IoT sensor data. The old ETL factory just wasn't built to handle that kind of volume and chaos.
And so, out of this new landscape, a new philosophy was born, ELT. This is the modern, cloud-native approach that basically flips the old model on its head to prioritize speed and flexibility above all else. Okay, so you still extract the data first, that part's the same, but here's the big twist. You immediately load it, raw, unfiltered, exactly as it is, right into your destination. The transformation? That happens last, inside the data warehouse itself, whenever you actually need it. The analogy gets an upgrade too. We're not in a factory anymore, we're in a massive do-it-yourself warehouse, kind of like a data lake. Every single piece of raw material, no matter how weird or messy, gets dropped off and stored right away. You don't process anything upfront. Instead, when you need to run an analysis, you just walk into the warehouse, grab the raw stuff you need, and shape it right then and there.
Now, the reason this even works is because modern cloud data warehouses have just an incredible amount of computing power. ELT takes advantage of that raw power to do the transformations after the data has already landed. This makes getting data into the system insanely fast and flexible. You can just dump everything in one place, which for data scientists is an absolute game changer. They get to explore the raw data immediately without having to wait around. So it's pretty clear neither approach is a magic bullet, right? Each one has its own set of pros and cons, and choosing the right one for you really means understanding these key trade-offs. And this table really lays it all out. It all comes down to when you do the transformation. ETL is slower to get data in because it has to clean everything first, but the result is super controlled and consistent. ELT, on the other hand, is all about speed and flexibility. You load everything first, which is lightning fast, and then you use the power of the cloud to transform data whenever you need it. This completely changes who can use the data and how fast they can get answers.
So when should you stick with classic ETL? Well, it's still the best choice in industries with really strict compliance rules, like healthcare or finance, because you can clean or remove sensitive data before it even enters your main warehouse. It's also perfect when you need to enforce rigid business rules and guarantee data quality from the get-go. And when is ELT the obvious choice? When you're dealing with just massive amounts of different kinds of data, or you need that data available for analysis, like right now. If you're building on the cloud and your number one goal is to give your data scientists total flexibility to explore raw data on their own, then ELT is hands down the winner.
Okay, so we've seen the old guard and the new kid on the block. What does this all mean when you're trying to build a modern data strategy?
You know, the most important thing to take away from all this is that there's no single best answer here. It's not a competition. It's about what's right for your situation. The choice completely depends on your specific needs, what kind of data you have, your budget, your team's skills, and what you're actually trying to do with it all.
And in the real world, the truth is, most companies today don't pick just one. They actually use a hybrid approach. For example, they might use a classic ETL process for their super sensitive financial data, but at the same time, use an ELT pipeline to pull in streaming social media data for real-time analytics. Best of both worlds.
And that really brings us to the final thought. We've gone from ETL's rigid factory to ELT's flexible warehouse. Data pipelines are always evolving to meet the next big challenge. And as data gets even bigger, even faster, and even more complex, it really makes you